afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Hernandez, and I'm the Executive Director of the Legislature's Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity. Y para los hispanohablantes que nos estén viendo, les deseo unas buenas tardes. Today we are hosting a very special gathering. I'm especially proud to have this illustrious group of leaders with us today at the Commission. We are hosting one of our virtual town hall meetings called Small Business Matters, El Negocio del Éxito, the business of success, unboxing issues impacting small Latino and Latina businesses during recovery. As I said, I'm especially proud to have this group of leaders with us today. I'm going to have each of you introduce yourselves just so that when you do, you tell us a little bit about yourselves. You come to the front of the camera for the benefit of our viewers. Tell us who you are, who you represent, and what you would like to either learn or for us to learn today that is most important to you about the times that we are in. Just a couple of sentences. I'm going to start with you as I see you on my screen. So firstly, I have Frank Alvarado. Welcome, Frank. If you could just make sure you unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Perfectly.
Okay, good afternoon. Buenas tardes. This is Frank Alvarado. I am the Senior Area Manager for the United States Small Business Administration. My office is in the Bridgeport Federal Building. Our main office is in Hartford, 280 Trumbull Street. But as you can figure, all of us are all working from home. But the good thing is that although we're working from home, our programs are up and live, up and running, and we're providing services to our PPP program, to our EIDL program, and I'll go into those programs later, and all of the other SBA services that we provide, our counseling, our 7A, all of our other services are available during these tough times. So we're here, we're ready to provide assistance, and I'm here to assist in any way that I can.
Thank you, Frank. You know, you remind me that when it comes to small business and Latino businesses, this is the room where it happens. And we're moving now to Hilda Santiago. Hi, Hilda. How are you?
Good. How are you, Steve? I'm doing well, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Well, a little bit about myself. I'm a state representative from the 84th District in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm going on my 5th term. I've been there for 4 terms already since 2012. Before that, I was on the City Council and a member on the City Council of the Economic Development Committee, which was very important to me at the local level and getting small businesses, especially Latino businesses, to thrive in the city of Meriden. Right now, I sit on the Finance and Revenue and Bonding Committee. And I also sit on the Human Services Committee, the GAE Committee, and I've been on the Banking Committee and Insurance Committee before. So it's a pleasure to be here among all these folks, distinguished people. I want to learn more about the programs that they have so I can bring that information back to my community. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Hilda. And as a legislator, I'm almost going to have you serve as a bit of a co-host with me, because I think you're right. With all the experience that you have, and I think all the not only the wisdom that you bring to this table, but also the questions that you bring on behalf of your constituents, we have a lot to learn together today. So welcome, Hilda.
Thank you.
Don Julio Mendoza, nice to see you, sir.
I'm here. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's great to see all my friends here. I consider everyone here my friends. We've been working together for many years. My name is Julio Mendoza. I'm the Executive Director of the Spanish American Merchants Association, SAMA. We are, of course, a nonprofit organization that provides businesses with assistance, whether it will be technical assistance, training, getting them to the right places for funding. We work very closely with HEDCO and the SBA, of course, with all the legislators in Connecticut and with all the people in this panel. Our goal is that under this incredible times that we can be here to assist our merchants, and to help them to navigate and survive this, because it has not been easy and it will not be easy. It will continue to be difficult going forward. Nobody knows what to expect except God, and so we're here to provide the services. We've worked, and I will probably mention this later on, with all the loan programs and grants that have been available. I think the state of Connecticut has done a great job. Thank you, Hilda, and all the state reps and senators and the governor's office, because you have been there for the small business. Some of the cities have done the same thing, the federal government, the SBA, HEDCO, so I really appreciate that. And we're here for our merchants at this very tough time.
Thank you, Julio. And that's really encouraging to hear, especially since there's so many moving parts to this pandemic. And part of those most impact parts are our local businesses, which I think are not only the heartbeat of our communities, but also the lifeline for so many of our small families. So thank you for that, Julio. Gladys Rivera, bienvenida, member of our board. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve, and everybody. It's so nice to see everyone. My name is Gladys Rivera. I'm a commissioner with the Commission on Children, Women, Seniors, Equities, and Opportunity, a longtime advocate for our Latino and Puerto Rican community. And I am here to help our community in whatever I can. I'd like to learn what the challenges have been and see what opportunities we can come up with to help them.
That's great. Thank you so much, Gladys. And as a member of our board, you are a steadfast champion for the issues of the commission. I'm so happy that you're here today. Welcome, Fernando. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to share the afternoon with all of you, and hello to all of my friends and colleagues on the panel. I'm the president and CEO of HEDCO, a community developing organization that provides financial assistance and loans to, as well as training to business throughout the state of Connecticut. We are a lender with the Small Business Administration. We're also a major partner with the state. We manage a number of loan programs specific for women-owned and minority-owned business. We also manage one program that is extremely unique. It's a nonprofit program for a nonprofit. We serve roughly about 40 nonprofits on a yearly basis with credit lines that we're also at this point hosting a number of very important webinars to keep our clients informed, assist some of the business getting their PPP monies, as well as working with the Sama. Sama has been our partner, long-time partner for over 30 years, as well as the SBI. So I'm here trying to share the knowledge that we have, trying to learn what the problems and situations are out there, and see how I could come up with the solutions along with my staff.
Thank you, Fernando. And you remind us, just for the benefit of our viewers on Facebook Live, this is Small Business Matters being hosted by the Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity at the legislature. Some of the information that you mentioned, Fernando, which are your webinars, and I'll extend this invitation to others here as well. We'd be happy to host or to at least give a shout out to everything that you're doing on our website so that these resources are cross-pollinated and available to all of our viewers. So thank you for reminding us of that, Fernando.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for your willingness to help us, and thank you for, I appreciate all of the efforts trying to get our words out and the information. We had some really interesting webinars lately, and they are right now being stored on our webpage. Offline, we could talk and I could share some of them with you on how to get them on your system. We just had a really interesting one with the executive from Amazon and some of the other medical doctors on the system.
That's great, Fernando. A real public service, and thank you. Sonia Alvelo, welcome, Sonia.
Hello, how are you, everybody? I was going to start in Spanish and I switched to English. Muchísimas gracias for the invitation. This is amazing to be talking to all of you. Seriously, I mean, I've been following every single one of you. wow, un éxito que ustedes han tenido y profesionalmente los respeto muchísimo a cada uno de ustedes. My name is Sonia Alvelo. Yo soy la presidenta, CEO of Latin Financial, a small brokerage firm here in Newington since about 4 years. But we also have a small office in Puerto Rico as well for the past 5 years. We do help, with the financing needs to all Latinos or non-Latinos, because we own 2 different companies, Latin Financial, my baby, Gladys, obviously we worked together in the past in terms about how to bring the information to the community. I also met with Julio Mendoza. Muchísimas gracias por tomar tu tiempo. So, muchos de ustedes obviamente sí los quiero conocer, sí los sigo, aprendo muchísimo en cada uno de los videos de ustedes, in every single one of them individually. Wow, keep on going, because what, I'm like new to the business considering all your background, but we've been doing amazing things with the Latino community in terms about financing, in terms about education, in terms about how to help them, how to apply for a loan, regardless if it's with the collateral or not, in Puerto Rico or not. So muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, Stephen, for having this opportunity for us to be here.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And Sonia, you are a friend of the commission for sure. Whenever it is that there is a project that we work on together, you are quick to lend your hand and to lend your assistance. For that, we're very, very grateful. I see now that we are joined by Representative Ed Vargas. Ed, you are right on time. We're all introducing ourselves to each other and just saying a little bit about what we want to learn or what we want to teach today. And Hilda, as the other of our resident state reps on the call, I told her that she would be designated as one of my co-hosts. So Rep. Ed Vargas, here you are. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I'd just like to say I represent Hartford at the State House of Representative. I'm a retired teacher, worked 35 years in the Hartford Public Schools, and I serve on the Environment Committee, the Labor and Public Employees Committee, and I also chair the Executive and Legislative Nominations Committee. And what I'm hoping to do is learn some more about how we can help our small business community. I've been a small business booster in my area, which is South Hartford, for many years, and believe me, they can use a lot of help right now.
Thank you so much, Representative Vargas. So let's get started. I'd really like to get a little bit from from both Sama and Hedco and perhaps Sonia as well, just a little bit of the flavor of what it is that you're seeing with our businesses now. What is happening on the ground, as they say. And let's start with you, Julio Mendoza. I know that there are so many merchants that are part of your association, and I'm wondering, what are you seeing among your members? What are some of the biggest concerns, both in response and in recovery? And what can you tell us about what's happening on the ground?
Oh, the worst thing that has happened to our merchants, of course, is that at the beginning, they were closed for a long time, for about 2 months. And you know what that will do to a small business? A lot of them don't have the capital to survive something like this. And that's why I give thanks to the state of Connecticut, DECD, to HEDCO, to the city of Hartford, to the SBA, federal government, because if it wasn't for these programs, probably a good number of them would have been out of business. We have helped a lot of the merchants with their PPPs, with the EIDL program, which includes the $10,000 advance. And we have not done a lot of the loan that comes with the EIDL. We have worked with the city of Hartford for their grant program. We have worked also in the city of New Haven. We have provided to a good number of our merchants with PPEs that they have needed. And we're here now talking to them about the future because, we're open. But at the same time, we're not open 100%. We're open, some of them 50%, some of them less. people have to go in with masks, which is very important to curb the virus. And as you know, a lot of people probably don't want to wear a mask, but to go into the stores, they are required. And I'm very proud of our merchants that are keeping that if you don't have a mask, you do not go inside their office. So yo estoy muy orgulloso de mis comerciantes. Y al mismo tiempo, en este tiempo, ellos necesitan. Ellos, como dije ahora, como el 50% de personas pueden entrar a los negocios. Los restaurantes pueden tener afuera y ahora pueden también tener adentro, pero por cierta cantidad. Te coges un restaurante que tenga aproximadamente 20 a 22 sillas dentro, la mitad son 10 a 11. Pero al mismo tiempo no quiere decir que esas 10 o 11 van a estar llenas a la misma vez, porque solamente un grupo de una familia pueden estar en una mesa. Si vienen nada más que 2 y tienen 8 mesas, pero 4 nada más están usando, si uno vienen 2, 1 y 2 y 3, pues ¿qué tienes ahí? 8 personas. Pero los gastos son 100%. Los gastos tienen. Estos programas pudieron ayudar mucho a nuestros comerciantes. Ahora, en el futuro, como nadie sabe lo que va a pasar, estamos mirando a ver cómo es que podemos ayudar a nuestros comerciantes. Mirando a ver si hay otros programas más que vengan, que los puedan ayudar. Como ahora mismo, y no le quiero coger nada del tiempo de Frank, el SBA volvió otra vez a traerlo del PPP. Yo voy a dejar que él hable de eso. Pero lo que le queremos dejar saber a nuestros comerciantes es que SAMA está aquí para ellos. Los ayudamos con las aplicaciones de los PPPs. Le ayudamos con el IRO también que está ahora, que pueden tenerlo a $10,000, $1,000 por empleado. Le ayudamos si necesitan algunos préstamos. Nosotros bregamos con HEDCO, con Fernando Rosa, con Kim Hawkins. Hay muchos programas que están ahí. Tampoco le quiero cogerle el tiempo de Fernando, porque él puede hablar de sus préstamos. Pero SAMA está aquí para ayudarlo a bregar con todas estas personas que necesitan préstamos. Con Sonia, nos reunimos con Sonia hace tiempo atrás y estamos dispuestos a bregar con ella para trabajar juntos para ayudar a nuestros comerciantes. Vuelvo y repito, con todo el mundo. Yo creo que en parte en Connecticut se han unido mucho las comunidades. Aquí sí que se puede decir que hay un partnership entre el federal, el estado, las ciudades, los legisladores, que nosotros dependemos mucho de ellos. Le di las gracias a Hilda, a Edwin, al senador Fonfara, a Miri González, a Juan Candelaria, a todo esto, no quiero dejar a nadie, pero a todo esto, especialmente los representantes y senadores, las personas que tenemos ahí latinas, han estado ahí para nosotros. Con eso, le puedo decir a nuestros comerciantes que entendemos lo que ellos están sufriendo y nosotros sufrimos juntos con ellos, porque si ellos sufren, nosotros sufrimos, porque SAMA es el sitio de los comerciantes, la casa de los comerciantes.
Julio, thank you so much for that. You know, you remind us of a couple of dynamics that are so critical and that are evidenced, I think, in our communities. The first dynamic is your hand on the pulse of what's happening with our businesses, especially our small businesses. You know, the story that you just told about the restaurants that are only able to bring in half capacity. And for some of our smallest restaurants, this could mean just a small handful of families that may not even be there the whole time. So there is a stress that comes on with that dynamic. But also, I think what's beautiful in your description of how it is that so many of you here in this on this Brady Bunch panel have really worked together with the community. You know, it reminds me that our community really is a family. And we often hear about how small businesses support so many families, not only the families that work within the business, but also in community. But the business community, the Latino business community, is also a family, and you remind us of that. So thank you so much for that, Julio. Fernando, I want to turn to you now, because as Julio mentioned, so much of this is the interplay between understanding what the needs are for our particular small businesses and also the response. You know, interestingly, your response is both to small business and to small nonprofits. So tell me a little bit about what you're seeing, Fernando.
Well, Julio going to talk about all about my loan program since you know as much as I do about them. We've been in partnership with all of the organizations all around the state. Let me just tell you where we just finished and where we're going. We just finished with the HEDCO DECD credit line program for women-owned and minority-owned business. Unfortunately, we were only able to serve a small amount of all the people that serve. When we launched that program, we did not expect the response that we got. We got 1,400 companies applying for it. We started off with $2 million, and we increased that to $5 million. And with the $5 million, we were only able to serve roughly about 400 of the 1,400 people. So we're still in negotiations at this point with DECD and the governor, as well as the state and other private institutions to see if there's any additional funding to go. But what I want to remind everybody that we're not able to get those credit lines. The program for women-owned and minority-owned business called the Minority Business Revolving Loan Fund that we operate with SAMA is still open. There is funds in that pool. People should apply. Obviously, the credit line at different terms, but those still exist. We were on the front lines with the emergency grant with the city of Hartford. We fund half of it through our loan funds. That also came to a point where we were not able to fund all of the requests. $1.3 million is going to go out back out on the street as a grant. We were able to do about 150 individuals. Out of those, about 350 apply. So for those that are not able to receive the grants, there's still the loans, there's still the applications to be done. We're also looking at the training, but we're also looking at all of the business, specifically the service, the barbershop, the hairdressers that need some PPE equipment, and working with the senators and DECD trying to get them that particular equipment as well with SAMA. My relationship with SAMA is one that started long time ago. SAMA is, for me, my front door into the neighborhood. I got their back. They're the ones that usually bring most of the package into the processing plant. We're also working with the SBA. We're working with the Chambers of Commerce. We're starting a new relationship with New Haven that we're expecting to announce it within the next 30 days. So we're really looking to pump as much money as possible, specifically in the women-owned and minority-owned program. Our nonprofit is a program that provides credit lines to the nonprofits in the capital region. We have 45 that are in the program. Active is about 37 to 40. Credit lines up to $75,000. We extended that program and we funded an additional 19 under this COVID-19. So if there's a nonprofit out there that is going to need money, that there is no funds coming to them either from the city, the states, the municipal foundation, they're late, they should apply for those particular credit lines because they're bridge loans to take them whenever their regular payments are not coming in. HEDCO still manages about 20 different loan programs. Besides our women-owned, minority-owned, we are a micro lender with the SBA and the micro lending program. Individuals could borrow up to $50,000 for working capital, for equipment, whatever needs to be done for a period of 6 years. So there is some capital out there, and there is the availability. At this point, and Frank is going to talk about this, but there has been some, I'm sure that he is going to talk about this. There's some change into the Paycheck Protection Plan. There's some flexibilities. There's additional funds going out until August 8th. So I encourage everybody out there that has a need to make sure that they get prepared to survive it. I tell my board and I tell my staff and I tell all my colleagues, nothing's going to be the same. Everything has drastically changed from March 15th. The operations are going to be different. Even if you're a restaurant and you're able to get food on the sidewalks or patios, and 50% most likely is not going to be enough to keep your expense going. If you had a little bodega and you're only allowed 50% of the clients in there, that's going to change your operating mode of operating. If you don't have the PPE equipment that you need to operate, or the client comes in with no mask, the handling of the client is different. So the whole process at this point is a very different environment than it was 3 months ago. And yesterday last week I was in the store, and the employee was having an argument with the individual that didn't want to put on a mask. Again, I'm going to leave you the reminder of who just did it. For all of those that are listening to us, mask is mandatory. You're in a public space, whether you like it or not, you have to put on your mask. You don't put the mask to protect yourself, you put the mask to protect me. So you got to think of me when I'm going out. That is the most important person. Putting on my mask so I could protect Steve and Julio. That is the question. It's mandatory. They have to wear it. And obviously that impacts the way you operate and manage your business. I walked into the store. I can no longer go this way. I have to go this way and come around the other way. Well, my product is here. So somebody else is here. So I still have to go around. So the operation is different, but thank God that, people are really beginning to understand the process. I think that we all work together. We're going to make it, but it is going to be a challenge.
Fernando, thank you so much for describing, sort of our new reality. And our new reality is one in which we remain connected, we remain conscious of each other, probably more than ever, but in a way that is always with the eye on the prize of being better than we were before. And I hear that optimism in what you're saying. It's a careful, thoughtful optimism, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Fernando. I'd like to turn now to Sonia. Sonia, you kind of straddle two different worlds, and in some ways, four different worlds. You're a small businesswoman, and at the same time, you are there to help. You have a business here, vibrant in the state of Connecticut, but also in La Isla in Puerto Rico. So you have a lot to teach us. So Sonia, welcome. Tell us what you're seeing from your perspective here in the state.
And thank you again. I was listening to all the information, and they just spot on. And it's true, as a Latina female owner, not only Latina, the female part and the ownership, it comes great responsibilities, and especially, to teach others. Petco, oh my goodness, your information is incredible. As a Latina owner, I use your services, and you guys help me to stay in my office right now. So it works. The information is there. The funding is there. So that's really important. Even though that I'm in the business of lending, a lot of things happen, in these 3 months. A lot of lendings, a lot of lenders, they close their doors down. And we're talking about big companies. Unfortunately, they couldn't even survive 3 months. I can imagine, and we all imagine, and we all know that small local vendor, it is really difficult, but it is true. There are programs available. Like obviously we mentioned the PPP. Obviously, I leave that topic to them, that because they are the right hand. We also help them. We know, free of cost. If remember, I have clients from Puerto Rico. I have clients from the whole U.S. Hey, Sonia, can you help me with the application? Because remember, the PPP application, as you guys know, they changed it, so many times. It was like a mess. Finally, you finish with one application and they change it the next day. So you have to be on top of it. That information is super important for the Latino community because what, they are in the need. They don't have that cash flow for months and months, like other big corporations. But we are doing a lot of research. Not only, like you said, in US, the laws are different in every single state. And also in Puerto Rico. So in Latin Financial, we thank God, we opened our doors 2 weeks ago, and I'm so happy. I came in. I used to come in every day, guys, but I came in and I did a prayer, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is, now we're gonna make some changes. Now we're gonna help more. Now we have a goal, just to do better. Even though that the company has grown in the past 5 years, once we started funding in Puerto Rico, those organizations, Centro Unido and like you guys locally, Centro Unido, the Association of Pharmacy, we had to work together. And for some reason, it grew out of my hands, which thank God. But that means a lot of responsibilities as well. I wanted to actually work with the Connecticut. I wanted to make sure that if I'm helping Puerto Rico, that is miles away, I have to help the local, the local business owners in here. Those papas, mom and pop shops, that they don't speak the language. So, thank God I met Maria Lino. Gladys is a great supporter. Thank you. They introduced me to local organizations that I can actually help in any way. That's why if I'm growing and I know that I can do something to make sure that the information is free, the paperwork is free, let's work together. And it's true what Julio Mendoza said. I never seen so many organizations together, like rebuttals, hey, listen, ¿qué podemos hacer? Y lo veo todos los días I come to the office. It's like going back to school yourself. Yeah. Because, we have to do all these changes. In my company, obviously, thank God that we have white label. Now, white label, that means that obviously we can actually take money and help the business owners, regardless if it's a decline. That helps us. Ustedes no se imaginan. Pero vienen responsabilidades con eso. We wanted to make sure that the business, ellos sepan de que cómo administrar ese dinero. No solamente tener el dinero cuando lo necesitan, es cómo pagarlo tranquilamente para atrás, para saber cómo lo van a utilizar. No en otras cosas, simplemente para sobrevivir en estos momentos. So I'm sorry in the English and the Spanish, but I'm just so passionate. So I'll go back to the Spanish language. But it's a lot. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot. If we all work together, definitely we see a change. The state has done incredible. Government, SBA has done amazing. I see, remember, I help with with the businesses in Puerto Rico with the SBAs as well, and they already have the money, which thank God, I got in calls in the past 2 weeks. Oh my goodness, I got the money, a gas station, the restaurants are hard. I'm not gonna say no to that, but oh my goodness, it's, we have to do it together. And I know, learning by people with experience, I know we can do it, so I'm here to help. And everything that you guys, are saying, I'm like on a sponge. I'm getting all the knowledge, and I'm going to get, tomorrow on the phone with all of you independently. Hey, what can I do? Can I offer my services? So I'm here. So I wanted to help.
Thank you, Sonia. And, you remind us of ese enlace precioso between La Isla and Connecticut. Yeah. And it's so rich and it's so powerful. I've always marveled at it from the moment I came to Connecticut. And you really are the embodiment of that. So thank you so much. There's also the enlace, Frank, between the state government and the federal government. And so much of what is happening here, so many of the lifelines that we've seen have come because of your good work, Frank Alvarado. So tell us a little bit about what you've seen, what's happening, what's available. I know that there are a lot of recent changes and extensions. So really excited to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Stephen. The SBA, as everyone knows, is a federal arm of the government that helps with small businesses. Here in the state of Connecticut, we're a small group. There's only 10 of us, but between what we call our technical resource partners and our non-technical resource partners, or non-official like SAMA, HECO, we're able to reach many people throughout the region. Just to give you an example, on the PPP side, 61,000. This is Connecticut. 61,000 loans, totaling $6.7 billion thus far, which is amazing. And a staff of 10 people would never be able to reach. So that's why we're extremely grateful to our resource partners and to the folks like Sama, HEDCO, and all of the other nonprofits that help us get the word out about our programs. So having said that, the PPP was scheduled to retire on June 30th. First, the Senate passed an extension immediately. A few days later, the House passed the extension. And a few days after that, the president signed the extension. So the PPP is good to go up until at least August 8th. And there's still about $125 billion still left in that program. So I encourage everyone to continue to apply. So happy I met Sonia online today, because I will certainly refer people who are having a hard time finding lenders. The PPP is a lender-driven program. You deal with the lenders, you deal with the banks. The SBA role in that is to guarantee it for 100%. If you follow the rules, you apply for forgiveness, and if all the rules are followed, your loan, your PPP will be forgiven. So that's the PPP is alive, active, and so please spread the word. As far as the EIDL, which is Economic Impact Disaster Loans, that has reopened as well. We were shut down for a while, only open to agricultural businesses, but thank God we're back in business, taking applications. Those are done directly through the SBA. Those are the application is taken by the SBA. It is underwritten. It is approved or denied by the SBA. I personally send people over to Sama whenever there's some clients that have an issue on how to apply or don't understand the process, because we have to be very careful as federal employees, as who we refer to people. We can't refer to folks that are going to get you further into debt. I'll leave it at that. But so we try to use the resources that we know are trusted and do good work. So the EIDL, the loans can go up to $150,000. They started out at $2 million. Unfortunately, the volume of loans forced the administration, the SBA administration, to drive down that number to $150,000, which for some businesses is not a lot of money, but for the mom and pop shops that I deal with, particularly, it is a lot of money. So the program is available. I am available to assist. The entire SBA staff is available to assist. So I hope that people will continue to reach out to us. We are eager to help. One of the things that I want to mention is that we all talk about small business. One of the things that I have made it a practice of is to encourage folks. I do a lot of work in our community and in our Latino communities throughout the state, but particularly in the New Haven area, as I encourage Latinos to visit and participate in small businesses in the Latino community. On Park Street, on Grand Avenue. There are a lot of Latino businesses, and our spending power is there. So let's help, especially during these hard times when our Latino businesses need us to participate with them, especially the restaurants, the bodegas, and stuff like that need our, the barbers, the nail salons. They all need our assistance. And one way to do that is to encourage Latinos to do businesses with Latino businesses.
Thank you so much, Frank. And again, for the benefit of our viewers, you are watching a virtual town hall meeting of the Commission called Small Business Matters. We are focusing today on El Negocio del Éxito, the small businesses in the state of Connecticut that are Latino owned and run, that really are the heartbeat of our communities. I want to expand the conversation a little bit to include Representative Ed Vargas, Isla Santiago, and Gladys. What's interesting is that when I think about just the importance of small businesses in our communities and the little heartbeats that your communities are, I always describe Meriden and you, Ed, the communities that you represent as the little heartbeats of our communities. So starting with Hilda in Meriden, can you tell us a little bit about what your businesses are experiencing, what you're seeing, how it is that you've helped in the response, and then maybe if we have questions for other panelists, we can weigh in as well.
Thank you, Stephen. It's all great information, but I know that there are still barriers. There are still barriers in our Latino communities with small businesses. The information is not getting to them as much as we think, and as hard as the organizations, the lending organizations are doing all they can to reach out to people. There are still small pockets that don't get the information. And if you don't have that personal contact and to know what's in your community as businesses, then a lot of these small businesses get lost. And that's why one of the reasons that I stay in touch with my community, because my district is the downtown district. And we've had a big flood control issue for the last 100 years. We're starting to get that fixed. We have a new train station. We have affordable housing coming downtown. We have a nice Meriden Green that brings people to small concerts, salsa, little concerts that we have and stuff like, we just had one yesterday. Small, very small. And everybody was social distancing. So it was a great turnout. Very small, maybe less than 100 people were there. But I still feel that even before the COVID, I still feel that much more can be done. We have in the city of Meriden have hired an economic development coordinator that speaks Spanish, because most of the businesses that are opening up in the center of Meriden, in the inner city, are Hispanic. We got Mexican restaurants. We have restaurants from El Salvador. We have restaurants from Santo Domingo. So we have a Jamaican restaurant. So it's small businesses that are coming to Meriden, and that's what's keeping the downtown active. But there's still a barrier with them knowing about the programs. They can't visit webinars while they're working, because small business, as you know, there's a small family that runs the business. They only have 1 or 2 employees. So it's hard for them to go to events. It's hard for them to go on webinars. It's hard for them to look for somebody that's going to help them complete an application or tell them about it. So those are some of the struggles that I still have in a small town, a small city like Meriden, which is only 60,000 people. Our population is 21% Latino. We have about 13,000 Latinos out of the 60,000. But the school system is 52% Hispanic, a minority, with a small population of African Americans and Asians. So and you know that when the first thing that went during the COVID was we lost the jobs quicker than anybody else, because we were in the restaurant business, the healthcare system, the service areas. We got hit the most in job cuts, 27%. When I was looking it up today, the Pew Institute, 27% of Hispanics lost jobs and lost pay in the whole country, compared to other populations, compared to other minorities. So we need to I mean, and it's not a reflection that nobody's doing their job. People are doing the best they can, but we've got to be able to do more with what's there to get the word out. And the Chamber of Commerce in Meriden, we have a Hispanic group called the Hola Committee of Latino Leaders that work at Liberty Bank. They work at the Chamber. They have small businesses. So we try to keep that group together so that we could do fundraising for Latinos that are graduating from high school, because we want them to see that we are doing something in Meriden. So we need to look at, and that's why I like to join these events, because I want to see what else we can do to really engage the small bodegas, the small restaurants, the small barbershops, the hair salons, because those eventually in the next 10 years are going to be the heart of what Meriden represents in the city of Meriden. So that's what I want to learn more about.
Thank you so much, Hilda. First of all, I so always appreciate how doggedly and sin barreras and sin reservas you represent your community, and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to treat your statement like a question, and I want to ask some of our panelists. It seems to me that sometimes, despite our best efforts, it does help to make house calls. It does help to go out into the community and make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind. Silvia, I see you nodding your head. Tell us a little bit about what you're thinking. Sonia, disculpa que te llame.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think a couple of 3 years ago, I decided to actually do more or be more involved in the community, and not for the company itself. It was just because the company was financially in a good, way. I wanted to give back to the community. It's so true. With my company, what I did is I got involved with la parada puertorriqueña. Y ahora llevo 3 años, obviously being a part of that, with the community. Maria Sanchez, obviously Gladys got me into that, and I'm committed to actually do it every year. The Latinas Empower Symposium. Gladly won, last year Entrepreneur of the Year. So that opened doors not only for the community, because, people that were watching, las mujeres estaban viendo, las mujeres que estaban en la casa viendo eso, ¿cómo lo hiciste? So ahora entonces se me abre otra puerta para ayudar a la comunidad, para ayudar a esas mujeres que necesitan esa, tú lo puedes hacer. Working with the community, it has changed me as a person, completely. Not only, the other side of the company, pretty sure most of you don't know, I own another side of the company, which the name is Sharp Capital. We have an agreement with CCMC, which is, Children's Connecticut Children's Hospital, and we give 1% of every revenue, every month, 1% to them, to that hospital. And let me tell you, and I'm looking for that community, for that organization to do the same thing with Latin Financial, because we're growing. With the community right now, what I did is also we hiring here in Newington. And I want all the team in bilingual Spanish, and my partners, he's like, why? We had a conversation today. Why are you doing this, Sonia? Why so much in the community? I was like, it's just the way that I feel and the way that the connections that I make, what we can do. If your company is growing, it's your job to give back to the community. Is that community is the one who's actually helping the company grow. So, I was nodding because I was like, absolutely, I've been doing it and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue, every time I see postings, and I don't know who it is. And you see me, what can I do? Last week it was a church, they needed water. I showed up with the water in less than an hour. you know, se me paran los pelos porque si se puede y tengo la energía y está el extra dinero, vamos a hacerlo. No lo hago para que conozcan mi nombre, lo hago para que conozcan el nombre de la compañía, porque de esa manera me va a abrir las puertas a hiring more Latinos. I want to go back to Hartford. I want to go back and start a company in Hartford, and you know, because that's my vision. But in the meantime, you know, it's Newington. I love it. But I would like to go back to where it's needed. You know, and for that, I need all of you, you know, and anything that I can do, you know, personally or my company, this is meant to happen. This meeting, and I was hesitant. I was like, oh my God, I admire every single one of you. And I was like, how am I going to do? But at the end, I was like, no. This is, we can help each other in any way that I can. I'm absorbing, like I said, everything like a little kid. But I think it's meant to happen to help each other, help the community. And if you have any ideas, all of you guys, please let me know, because I think that I'm always innovating. Like, oh my God, what can I do? So, de verdad, en lo que pueda ayudar, molésteme, no hay problema. Yo los mando para voicemail, pero los llamo para atrás a los inmediatamente. Pero yes, esta community is the heart. You know, it's the heart of the company.
Sonia. Thank you for your heart, for your passion. I mean, listen, I love it, and and you know, oftentimes you hear this passion and you wonder, oh, I can't wait to see it. But you're reminding us of what we have already evidenced. So thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you, and I do apologize for switching and talking so fast. I'm just blown away that you guys gave me the opportunity to be here. So I appreciate it.
Gracias. Y mira, Julio y Fernando, I want to turn to you now. You know, Hilda raises a good point, and Hilda, both Hilda and Sonia raise a good point that there is a relationship between reaching back out and giving back to community, but also reaching into community whenever we have critical information and critical resources that can benefit even some of those parts of the community that may be more difficult to reach. So Fernando, if I could start with you, tell us a little bit about how it is that you go in, and if we can work together to go in and find the smallest businesses that need the information the most.
For us, it's the most challenging part to be able to reach all of the communities, because not only we serve the state, the entire state based in Hartford. So we're trying to get as many of the partners as possible. We're trying to, you know, from the SBA point of view, from the Summit point of view, from the chambers, we're always in meetings with the chambers in different aspects. And we're trying to tell everybody, say, look, if you have an organization out there that needs our help, you need to call us so that we can go in. Obviously, you know, when you cover several different communities, some of them better service than others. But I mean, our success has been that we are able to rely on our partners to help us get the word out. We are able to get to individuals, state rep to call us in, and to those particular say, look, we're going to have this little meeting. We're going to be able to get together. I mean, the last 3 months have been extremely difficult because of the non-contact, you know, and people doing most of the meeting like we are right now. But previously, we would go into all of the evening meetings and everywhere that you get invited. So.
Thank you so much. And I turn now to you, Julio, with the same question. You know, how is it that we can do better to reach the hardest to reach members of our community who are entrepreneurs, business leaders, and the like?
Well, you know, it's very difficult to reach a lot of businesses. We know that. We sent out massive emails to around 800 merchants that we have in a database. But as you know, a lot of our small businesses don't have emails or, you know, don't communicate. Or even if they have them, the ones that look at them could be their daughter, their son, their brother, not themselves. So, you know, even though we do that, it's very difficult. We have, for the database that we have, not only do we have done emails, we have called them personally, all my staff. Since March 15th, all my staff have been dedicated just to provide this type of service, the grant programs, more than anything, because our merchants at this time is difficult to get loans because they're in a bad situation. They cannot pay loans back. They're getting moratorium in paying loans. So imagine to get more debt into them. There are some that if they don't have the debt, yeah, they can borrow. But most of them, what they need now is grants. So what we have done is that, we have called people. What do you need? I've had a staff person that has gone to merchants in Hartford, in New Haven. The other problem is that the some of the programs that we have, even though we're a statewide organization, are for specific target areas, like for Hartford and New Haven, most than anything. But we provide services throughout the state. But we are reaching out now. We've been successful, and I know a lot of people probably listening, but I don't want to get 100,000 calls. For some PPEs that we have provided in Hartford and New Haven. We're matter of fact, one of the calls that I was going to make tomorrow was to Hilda for Meriden to give me a list of the people that she thinks there that are in need of. We have masks more than anything, which is the most important thing now, and we're trying to get that to the small businesses. We're going to be doing also New London, Willimantic. We're going to do in New Britain. So in different Waterbury, in different areas. So we welcome that if anyone knows anyone that needs assistance, please send them to us. And not only, we have provided over 1,000 merchants with not doing the applications themselves to all of them. We've done a lot of them ourselves. We have a partnership with Liberty Bank that has been great. And we go into Liberty Bank and we do the applications for them. But we also teach them how to go in and do it themselves if they want to. We have called a lot of merchants, and a lot of them have done it themselves. We tell them where to go, how to do it. If they need assistance, we're here for them. And again, we've done a lot of PPEs and for the HEDCO and other programs ourselves. But we've done, I mentioned 800. We got thousands of small businesses. We need that if you know anyone that needs any assistance, send them to Sama. We want the work, so send them to us, because what we want to do is help them. They need it at this time.
Thank you, Julio. Te agradecemos el mensaje. And I know that Gladys and Werner are both listening very attentively with me, because this may be something that the commission can help do more robustly as well. Reaching the areas and the communities that are hardest to reach, and bringing those small businesses and entrepreneurs to you for your assistance, and to each of you for your guidance. So thank you for that. I know Werner's listening, and Gladys, I know you are too. Rep Vargas, I want to turn to you now, because you represent one of the little heartbeats of Hartford, and we just want to hear what's happening in your community. What are you seeing? What do you want us to know today? Welcome, sir. If you could just unmute yourself, Rep Vargas.
There we go.
There you go.
First of all, I want to thank the commission for holding this forum, and I want to thank my friend Werner Orianadel, who roped me into this and said you might be interested in participating in the forum. And I just wanted to say that, I served a few years ago. I served as vice chair of the Commerce Committee at the legislature, and the Commerce Committee, of course, works with everything that has to do with the business community. And while I was vice chair of the Commerce Committee, we had worked on a lot of different legislative initiatives to help businesses. One was the Step Up program, which gave businesses money to expand their communities. We had programs that helped them train their workers with subsidies from the state. And all these programs were very popular. I remember that in the first year we authorized these programs, the money went right out the window in a few months, and we had to replenish the funds. So when I listened to Julio Mendoza and Sama, and I listened to my friend Fernando Rosa from HEDCO talk about the impact of these programs, it's real. We can play an important role in helping small business. Right now, as we all know, because of the coronavirus situation, things have gotten worse. But like Hilda said, my colleague from Meriden, Hilda Santiago, she mentioned the fact that even before the pandemic, there were already some stressors on the business community. And in my area, South Hartford, we had lost a Spanish restaurant, Costa del Sol, had closed down. We had more recently, just before the pandemic hit, we lost the Nutshell Cafe, which was a Portuguese restaurant, which I'm sure Fernando is very familiar with. And we also lost a place that was mostly a takeout place, a very nice place. It was called La Fiambrera Criolla on New Britain Avenue. All three in my district, all three closed down. And the ones that haven't closed down are going through a lot of issues. And we have a couple of Peruvian restaurants in my district, the Piolín. We have the Rocking Chicken. We have a few more restaurants, but they're all in danger. We have Carbones. I think we lost because every time I drive by it, diagonally close from Carbones on Franklin Avenue, we had a place called Ficaras, but I think it's closed down. And so that section of my district was called Little Italy, had a lot of little Italian businesses. They all seem to be packing shop and moving out to the suburbs or just closing permanently. We had a market called D&D Market, very nice market that sold a lot of specialty food, especially Italian food. That closed down. And so, I'm hoping, this is what I'm really hoping for. I'm hoping that we have a fifth wave of support from the federal government, and that this time they help the state governments and they help the municipal governments, because our ability to be able to fund these kinds of programs are going to be dependent on the resources that we have. And I'm hopeful that they realize the importance of the state governments and the importance of the municipal governments in helping rebuild this economy. Because right now, the last 3 months, the revenues entering into all these government entities is very little. The gasoline tax is down, the income tax is down, people have been laid off. So we have all these taxes producing very little revenue at the same time that the need is the greatest. And I wasn't very encouraged when I heard the president of our US Senate, Mitch McConnell, say that he thought it might be a better solution if the states went bankrupt. I thought that was a terrible idea. We've been working very hard to make sure that the city of Hartford doesn't go bankrupt, and that the state has played a key role in making sure that bankruptcy doesn't happen. People sometimes confuse bankruptcy of public entities with personal bankruptcies, but they're very different. Personal bankruptcy, most of your debts get cleared away and forgiven, and you're banned for another 5 years from declaring bankruptcy as an individual. Entities, like government entities, if they declare bankruptcy, still have to pay off those loans. Most of those loans are owed to Wall Street in the form of bondholders that have contracts that are very tightly written contracts that make sure that if there's a penny available to a government entity, that penny goes to Wall Street. And then vendors come in second. It's ironic, but when Detroit went bankrupt, we found out that retirees are last in line. Many times they're the last ones to get paid in line. Sometimes their pensions get cut dramatically in bankruptcy court. So I don't agree with Mitch McConnell. I think that I'm listening to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. She's talking about helping the states and the municipalities. I hope that happens. And I hope that we're able to get a support from the US Senate so that we can get a package that will allow us to help people. Because as you know, every dollar that we have up there in that state house, there's going to be 100 constituencies looking to grab that dollar, and all of them deserving. You're talking about elderly, you're talking about children, you're talking about the business community, you're talking about healthcare organizations. Each one is an important constituency, and all of them are deserving. The problem we're going to have is the lack of funding if we don't get some support from our federal government. The other issue is that even if we do get that kind of support, we're still going to have to be judicious, because I don't think this economy is going to straighten up anytime soon. And when you hear about the rollout with restaurants only being able to serve 50%, but the overhead being 100%, like Julio mentioned, the challenges out there for the small business community are going to be magnified, not only for a few months. This could last a year, 2 years. We could be in a real tough situation for a long, long time. Some of my colleagues, and Hilda can verify this, some of our colleagues have decided not to seek re-election. And one of the reasons they've decided not to seek re-election is they know that the next couple of years are going to be very, very tough years. And we're going to make very few friends up there making the decisions we have to make. But way high on the list of priorities has to be the small business community, because they are the engine that will help us straighten the rest of the economy out. If we don't get them going, we're going to be in tough straits. So I'm happy we're holding this forum, and I'm looking forward to, creative ideas on how we can help tide this period, help businesses tide them over this hard period so that they can survive, and hopefully in a few months they can start thriving.
Thank you, Representative Vargas, and thank you for just reminding us of that important and necessary balance between production and consumption and supply and demand, and just all of the things that bring us together as people in the state. So, and also your very learned and thoughtful ideas about that delicate interplay between the resources of the state and also the critical businesses that we have in the state. So thank you for that. Frank Alvarado, go ahead, Rep.
I want to add one last thing.
Go right ahead.
We're trying to get a fund going to help the undocumented workers, because they've received no assistance from the federal government. And what people forget is that their dollars also fuel our economy.
That's right.
And the inability of the undocumented workers to spend money is going to retard any progress we make. So I'm a strong supporter of trying to see if we can do, at least if we can't do it at the federal level, at the state level, see if we can help those families out too.
Thank you for that, Ed. And I want to come back to that in a minute. Frank, I know you're having to leave us a little bit early, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, firstly, to perhaps address the question of how it is, whether there are any federal best practices on reaching hard to reach communities and what that might be, but also just to tell us how we can find you and how we can reach you as we move forward and continue to work together.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Listen, I agree wholeheartedly with State Representative Santiago. Outreach is key in any business, but especially in my business, the Small Business Administration. Before COVID-19, we spent 90% of our time out there in the neighborhoods and reaching the small business community. Unfortunately, that has changed. So we have to rely on emails, we have to rely on telephone, we have to rely on text to reach the market, and we have to rely on partners hopefully like you guys, like the commission. So I'm hoping that you can email me the logistics on how do we get information on your website, so we can get it out to the community. But most importantly is my contact information. First, my telephone number, which I check, although I'm not in the office, I check it every 15 minutes, is 203-335-0427. And I check my telephone calls every 15 minutes, and I return calls promptly. My email is frank.alvarado@sba.gov. And I live by my computer now. We're all, like I said, we're all working from home. We're not really allowed to go out and do a lot of one-on-ones. But I'm happy to, if it's safe to go out, and the business is practicing social distancing, I am happy to visit. So please get the word out. The SBA is ready, willing, and able to assist in any manner that we can. And I want to thank all the participants. Unfortunately, I have to get ready for another webinar tomorrow morning, so we have a practice run about 6:30. So I do want to get off and get ready for that. So thank you all, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Frank.
Take care, Frank.
You.
If I can say something.
Yes, please.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Frank just said, how things have changed. Before the pandemic, Rosa Jacinto and I, because Rosa Jacinto is our loan officer, works basically with different programs of loan, but more for the NBRLF, that is a DCD/HEDCO/SAMA program. We visited almost every Latino merchant in New Britain, in Meriden, in Waterbury, Willimantic, and a good number in Bridgeport to talk about this loan program and how we can assist them, because we can lend up to $100,000 at 4%. So we visited almost every Latino businesses, and we got a lot of their contact information. And those are, and the individuals that we serve, that was when we do the mass email. But how things have changed, that you basically right now can't do a lot of this one-on-one going to their businesses. We're starting little by little, but we have done about the same work, or maybe almost double of what we were doing before, working from home. We have the technology to do that. So anyone that knows any individuals that need any of these programs to be helped out with the PPP or anything else, please send them to us. Sonia said that she's doing it also. So it can be sent to HEDCO, to visit to all of us. We're here to help, and we want to help. It's the important thing, So it's tough. Our merchants are going through a tough situation. It is very difficult at this time. As I mentioned before, people sometimes think a grocery store, una bodega. Mucha gente cree que la bodega no sufrieron mucho. Sufrieron mucho, porque solamente X cantidad de personas puede entrar para adentro, como dijo Fernando, pero al mismo tiempo muchas de nuestras bodegas dependen de las frituras, de la comida caliente, ¿ok? Y muchos de ellos no pueden entrar ahí. Yo tuve bodegueros que tuvieron que cerrar completamente lo de la comida caliente, porque eran muchas personas adentro y no podían tenerlo. Todos ellos han sido perjudicados. Como sigo diciendo, estamos aquí para todos. Los que ustedes conozcan que necesitan servicios, por favor, mandándolo a nosotros, y nosotros vamos a seguir haciendo el outreach afuera para las personas que no saben o no pueden entender. Otra cosa también, no quiero hablar mucho, pero algunos de nuestros comerciantes, o muchos de ellos, no estaban preparados para esto, porque nosotros estamos dando entrenamiento del 1999, pero muchas personas no ponen algunas veces las cosas a trabajar. Y muchos no tenían los papeles, no tenían los finances al día, no habían hecho los income tax, con todo eso que muchos programas las aceptaban sin los income tax. El PPP es mayormente para personas que tienen empleados. Nuestros comerciantes, muchos de ellos no tienen muchos empleados. Muchos son familiares ellos mismos. El PPP sí le puede dar para ellos también el salario, pero es basado a las ganancias que tuvieron en el 2019. Es limitado a lo que ellos también pueden recibir. Por eso es que muchos también decidieron no aplicar. Es muchas las cosas que pasan algunas veces que no se pueden hacer.
Es una polémica diversa, así que es importante siempre invertir en saber lo que está pasando en cualquier lugar en nuestra comunidad, porque como usted dice, it's complicated. So, I think I'd like to, I know Gladys and Werner will be working together as a subcommission on Latino and Puerto Rican affairs, because I'm really inspired to work with each of you to really try and dig deep and get deeper into community, because I think it's incredibly critical to Hilda's point. And then to Rep Vargas's point about the undocumented community and the contributions and the spending that community does in our state. And by the way, also the work that they do in our state is also a critical part of our economy. So that's something that I also want to continue to explore with you as a commission.
I do want to.
But you need to remember that a lot of the programs are, even if you want to help the undocumented individuals, if they're federal, they're going to require Social Security. So unless they're going to be done at the city and local level,
that's right.
We're finding ourselves against roadblocks because even on the number of grants and items that we put together, no TIN does not work.
That's right. And Sonia, you had a point as well.
So
yeah,
I mean, that is a situation that we need to really talk about it and find out how we could find other ways to help them.
And that's one of my ideas that I wanted to bring to all of you. Obviously we offer a lot of different programs, and everything is, free of charge in terms about there's no exchange of any financial, there. But I've been lucky enough to have a lot of lenders that we talk every day through texting and everything else, and they're all willing to help. They have the money. It's just basically putting something together so they can actually work per state. So the programs, we are building the programs. This is the importance about what you do right now, just to offer Stephen this kind of talks, just to open, different opportunities. And the opportunities are there. If we, I'm more than willing to actually, talk to all my lenders, because you know what? Thank God, the businesses that they had taken some business loans with the company, they always paid off on time. So that opened the doors. I continue saying opening the doors because it's so important. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about in the future to see what they can do, or what we can, obviously the programs are there. We have programs with no collateral. We have programs for factoring. We have programs for, and I know that they're being closed right now. They have different programs. There's a bunch of different programs that we offer right now. But most importantly is knowing that if I can actually get those lenders to actually bring in those funds to Connecticut, then I'm gonna need some help, and it's just those communications, those lenders and willing to actually give, and they know they have the money. It's just where to put what industry to actually put that money in. And obviously it's so important, we mentioned restaurants, bodegas, todos esos negocios pequeños. Ahí es donde nos tenemos que enfocar, y eso es cierto. En lo que yo puedo hacer, vuelvo y repito, los lenders están ahí. Es básicamente come up with some ideas for them to work with. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sonia. That idea of unir el recurso con la necesidad, right? Bring the resource to the need. And I think about how incredibly diverse our communities are. So as we come upon the hour, I wanted to ask one of the questions that came through in the feed as one of our viewers is watching. Doris Maldonado asks, what are we doing to increase access for members of our community, diverse members of our community, women-owned businesses that are owned by people with disabilities? How is some of this access being expanded for the diverse sectors of our communities? I'll give that question to either one of you.
No. I spoke a lot.
Go ahead, Julio.
Yeah.
Well, if you're saying what are organizations doing to expand on the services, we're doing exactly that. Yeah. We're giving out the information to all our merchants. We're talking about the different programs that have been available, the PPEs, the EIDL, the City of Hartford grant program, the HEDCO DCD program, all the other technical assistance that people need. It's not only the loans, it's what do we do? People were nervous. People didn't know what to do. They were scared. Am I going to survive? Is my business going to be there tomorrow? So you have to encourage these people and let them know we're here for you. We have the services, we have the programs. Let's work. A lot of their loans got abated to a later date. The same thing with the taxes in different parts, the state for personal property and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we probably thought would never happen, has happened. So, a lot of things have been done to help the small businesses. Unfortunately, there's a lot of small businesses that have not been able to be assisted. And we all know that. And like I keep repeating myself, we're here to help.
Thank you, Julio. And
This takes all of Steve.
Go ahead,
This takes
Fernando.
all of us together to really bring the effort together. And then, my message again is, if there is somebody out there that wants us to get together to provide some additional information that we don't know, just reach out to us. I think the important part is just definitely reach out to us. That's why we're there. And along with Julio and all my colleagues, we're juggling 25 balls and catching 26 and dropping 20. So you could see that's sometimes there's no more time during the day.
Thank you so much, Fernando. And to Doris's point, the asker of the question, in terms of the diversity of the people in the state of Connecticut that own small businesses, whether they have disabilities, whether they have other unique needs. Ila reminds us of the linguistic diversity of a lot of our communities, whether it be from the different Latin American countries, but also other countries in the Caribbean where other languages are spoken, rich parts of the community. And as Ila says, in 5-10 years, will truly be the heartbeat of our communities. So thank you for that, for reminding us of that. As we start wrapping up and come upon the hour, I want to turn to each of you just to give us some parting thoughts, parting idea, maybe a hope for what you see as we come out of this as a community and as a community of Latinos, a community of business owners, and just a community that is interwoven together in opportunity as well. I'm going to start with you, Julio. I'm going to work my way around. I want to end with Gladys, because Gladys, you are a member of our board and someone that I have so much respect for. So Julio, let's start with you.
Well, I'm trying to look at the future and see, what is the future going to look like? Because nobody knows. We know that it's not going to be like it is now, but we have to be positive. We have to look at that it's a big God up there, and that we're going to come out of this. And we're going to come out of this together. And as an organization, we already started looking at how can we do things different. Because if you look at the training component that we have trained in about 11 to 12 different types of trainings. But it's been on a group of people come to the office and get trained right in our computer labs and in our conference room. And we teach them here and in New Haven. But we have to look now at technology.
Yeah.
They have to see that it's got to be different. That what we've been saying for years and years and years has to happen now for the survival of their businesses. We have to market our businesses more. Okay, we just can't just depend that everybody knows where I am. Number two, we have to probably now look at e-commerce for any business, for any small business, and even for the bodega, because someone can do something online and you can deliver it to their house. Okay, the takeout. Now maybe the restaurants should have a little van. Okay, that now will go around. Yeah. Because if anything happens, they can still do takeout. What hit them hard was they didn't have a system. So in not having a system, they didn't do most of the takeout. We're looking to do Zoom training. Like we're doing now. This conversation here is to do now training. So we just look for a grant to purchase some laptops, so we can lend our merchants the laptop, so that's they can take the training online. And so we're looking at all that, because it's only going to be that way that maybe a lot of our businesses can survive. We feel that there will be a future out there. Okay, and we feel that we will learn from this and come out stronger.
Thank you, Julio. The importance of that flexibility, that being nimble, but also entrepreneurial and creative in the way that we respond to this. Thank you, Julio, so much. Fernando.
Well, my point is we need to stay positive. We need to look for different ways to survive. We need to be prepared. I mean, obviously, as I said before, nothing's going to be like it was 3 months ago. It's going to be whole different out there, and we need to look out for different. There's a whole lot of recourses. There's a lot of resources, and people need to reach out. Sometimes, we get accused that we don't get to everybody. People need to remember that the staff is small and the field is wide. So if all of us get together, as we have done in the past, and we say, look, this group in here needs help, I'm going to bring it together. Can you guys come down and do it? We're available. That's my whole process is be positive, but be well trained and look for the alternative. We are going to survive. We're going to be different, but I have a lot of faith.
Thank you, Fernando. Hilda.
Thank you, Stephen. I was just writing some notes, and I want to thank everyone for being in this meeting. I think I learned that they're going to buy laptops so that they can loan them out. That's a good thing. But also the training in technology, how to do Zoom meetings, how to get webinars, even from the phone. Most of the time I'm on the Zoom meetings from my phone. But I think we also need to, once we get out of this COVID and we have a vaccine and we start opening up, there needs to be a plan that we can use in the minority, the Latino, Puerto Rican, Latino community, that here is a plan. Let's start looking at opportunity zones that are opening up at the state level. Let's start looking at enterprise zones. Let's start looking at the Small Business Express, which right now is closed. But that was a program that was working, that I was able to have a lot of the businesses in Meriden apply for to get loans and also to get bodies to work for them. Let's look at the minority business advertising. So, we're going to get out of this. We're all in it together. We're going to get out of this. Pero after the vaccine, there's got to be a plan so that we can go back into the community and say, look, we got these programs. What can we do to help you? How can we get lenders that are coming in, especially big lenders, to make sure that they hire staff that speak Spanish? Not just because you have a Hispanic name, but somebody that knows how to speak the language in the community, that is not afraid to go out door to door once this is all over, to go door to door and speak to our bodegas, our hairdressers, our salons, our other businesses, our Zumba groups, or whatever they're going into. That is important. And it's one of my things also is that there's two things that I want to mention. People need to know who their elected officials are. And that is something that we don't do as a group. We don't know who our state reps are. We don't know who our federal delegation is. We don't know who our local officials are. I help a lot of the small businesses in Meriden, for example, in order to subsidize that they're selling, they have a restaurant, but to help them get the liquor license.
Yeah.
And when they have a contact through their state rep that makes an inquiry to the Department of Consumer Protection, I put in an application in January. Why is it June and I still haven't heard anything? So knowing who your elected official is on the local level is very, very important. And whether they're Latino or they're white, those are the people that are there to help you. And a lot of our community don't know that, and that's it is important. We fight for, as the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus, as you know, we fight for women-owned businesses, for minority businesses. Everything that comes out of the Department of Economic and Community Development, we're fighting to make sure that a small percentage of that money is going to SAMA, that is going to HETCO, because if we're not fighting for that, nobody else is fighting. Nobody else is going to think about it. Right. Because then the money doesn't go to those programs like HETCO and SAMA and the SBA also that are helping our community. And the last thing I need to, and also the people with disabilities, we have to make sure that a certain percentage of that money that is being allocated to programs is also people that are disabled and veterans. They also count. The other thing that I want to end up saying is the census.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that our businesses are filling out the census. They're encouraging their consumers that are coming in, because those are the people that they trust, and they trust the small business. So if a small business owner says, oye, tú llenaste el censo, eso es bien importante. Eso es lo que está trayendo el dinero a nuestra comunidad, para los negocios, para los empresarios, para las escuelas, para la policía, para los bomberos. Tiene que llenar ese census. So, como yo estoy en the Census Count Committee in Meriden, and I've been in places around the state, we are taking, because it's been extended, we are taking the initiative, a small group of Latino leaders, to go from business to business to make sure that they themselves fill out the census, because whether you're undocumented or documented, or you just got here the other day, it's important that you fill out that census, because that determines the $650 billion that are out there for us to get a piece of that pie. So we're taking that initiative to do that through this month and next month, to make sure that the census is filled out. So if we can get the people on this, the programs and Agencia Latin Financial, to make sure that the census is always there, forefront and center, and that people know that we need for them to fill out the census, because they don't want people coming knocking at their doors in September. So that's a big important, that's how we get our money. And it's important for us to make sure that we complete the census. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I think we could keep going on and on with the conversation. There's a lot more that we can eventually talk about. And I just want to make sure that that I'm here to support you as a legislator. Not only I represent Meriden, but I represent the Latino people in the state of Connecticut, because there's only 2 Latina legislators. And I always say people need to get involved. Women need to get involved.
That's
right.
But
and there's only about 11 or 12 Latino legislators that are male from different countries. But we need more representation in the state legislature, and we need more representation at the local level. So that's my little plug there, because we are the ones that know what's happening in our community. That's and right. We have that passion to bring back and fight and have that voice for the people that we care about.
Hilda, thank you so much. Como dices, háganse contar e infórmense de quién es su representante. Es sumamente importante. It's a critical aspect of our democracy, y te agradecemos, Hilda, especialmente por todo lo que haces. Gracias. Ahora, next on my Brady Bunch list of integrantes, I see Sonia.
Hilda, me diste goosebumps. Hay tantos problemas, sometimes we tackle only, the lending and the certain things, but listening to each and everybody, we got more problems, more problems that we thought that, in catastrophes, we always stay together. And that's what's happening, right now. And my heart, is like involved right now, because there's so many things, that I didn't thought coming into this conversation. And thank you guys again. Now I leave with, with more questions, too, and questions in terms about, okay, what else? My thoughts, they were this, but now it's more that we can do together. I know the times are hard, and everybody who's listening, we all are working together. We are having a normal conversation. Estamos aquí comunicándonos, hablando, platicando. Yo creo que definitivamente this is not a topic that this is it, and we definitely gonna talk about more independently. And if you all give me the authorization, I'm gonna put all your information in my website for everybody to reach out to you guys, because it's important. Communication is super important. And let's stay strong, because we can do it. De verdad, vamos a seguir juntos para adelante.
Gracias, Sonia. Más fuerte unidos, ¿verdad?
Absolutamente.
Más fuerte unidos. Gladys.
Well, you know, this was an amazing conversation. I have an enormous amount of respect for everybody on this panel. Definitely staying connected with each one of us. You know, like Sonia says, every time there's an opportunity, I thank God that I have made a lot of contacts throughout the years. And I send people to Hilda all the time because I do know a lot of people in Meriden. Bridgeport, Waterbury, New Haven. So anytime that I can help somebody and send them to somebody that can help them, that's exactly what I do. This is also a time for our businesses to reinvent, like Julio Mendoza said. You might have a bodega and you might have a restaurant, use Grubhub or curbside pickup. This is a time for them to reinvent. Just the same way our booze company made hand sanitizers, you know, think of another way to reinvent your business so that, you know, you have better opportunities. That's definite. Definitely, I'm going to work with Warner and the commission on coming up with some policies and some procedures that we can move forward in order to make communication better. I have to admit that I've gotten information about the grants and the PPPs late. So when I gave it to my contacts, it was already too late. The deadline had passed. So we definitely have to do better in order to get that information to us on a timely basis. I'm going to piggyback on Hilda's messages. Two things very important. I'm actually working with the census, and I'm going to be one of the people probably knocking on people's doors, making phone calls to help people fill out the census, because that is very, very important. We need to be able to be counted. And if we're not counted, we're not going to be able to benefit from what is out there for us. And also voting. You have to get to know your legislators, but you also have to be able to get out and vote. And this year it's going to be extremely difficult because it's you know, absentee ballots. So how are we going to make sure that our seniors, our people that don't have the communication, are able to fill out these ballots? You know, there's a lot that we're struggling with, and we have to do a better job at being proactive and being out in our community. And I know it's tough because of the one-on-one contact, but there's also phones, there's also Zooms. You know, if we have people's phone numbers and we call them and help them walk through it on the phone or whichever way we can, I think we have to be a little bit more proactive at that. Yeah. I am committed to do that. As you all know, I'm very involved in our community and anything that I can do to help. But, you know, my three things: reinvent, census, and vote. Your voice is your vote, and your voice is what's gonna make us stronger. So definitely unite. We're gonna come out of this, you know, together. We're gonna be healthier and stronger, and we're gonna be a better community.
Gladys, thank you so much for your message of hope and and also your reminder that we do come out of this better together. And I think that, you know, insofar as our community is a microcosm of the state of Connecticut, we are also an example of the future of the state of Connecticut. And I think about what we do better for this community, what we do best for the Latino community will inure to the benefit of other emerging communities in the state of Connecticut. I think of the Polish American community and all the wonderful things that they're doing. I think of the communities from Southeast Asia and from the subcontinent and all the wonderful things that they're contributing to the state. We are leading the way in working together, in showing how it is that we can foster small business in the state of Connecticut and really diversify the state, not only in access, but in opportunity for all of us. And with that, I want to thank all of you. Es un orgullo muy especial estar aquí con ustedes hoy. And I just want to wish you a good night, and let this not be the end of a conversation, but the beginning of a relationship where we help make the lives of the people in the state of Connecticut and our own futures better. So thank you all so much, y buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Thank you
Gracias
for
a
the
todos.
opportunity.
Buenas noches. Thank you all.
Buenas noches.
Stay safe.
You too.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.